what's up everybody, this is your boy over here, Rogue Jedi Gaming, and I'm here today to review one of the greatest installments to the Resident Evil franchise, and the fact that it's been remastered for the next-gen consoles. That is Resident Evil 4. Now, those of you who already know about this game, you already should be well acquainted, but those of you who do not know, I'm going to tell you right now. In Resident Evil 4, players are reacquainted with Leon S. Kennedy, Raccoon Police Department idealistic rookie cop from Resident Evil 2, and it has been 6 years since the destruction of Raccoon City, and in that time the US government has been able to destroy the nefarious Umbrella Corporation. So you have to fast forward to the year of 2004 where this game takes place, and players rejoin Leon, who is now a US agent with a top secret mission. He has been tasked to look into the abduction of the president's daughter, and his investigation has led him to a mysterious location in Europe. As Leon encounters unimaginable horrors, he must find out who or what is behind everything. Now, Resident Evil 4 came back out on the GameCube first. It was a GameCube exclusive before it was crossed to the PlayStation 2. Resident Evil 2 is what defined the Resident Evil franchise and defined the series as a whole. It's the one that introduced the behind the camera, with the fact that you can now see from over the shoulder, and this is where the series was at its highest point. Now, with Resident Evil 5 and 6 that tried to emulate it, the one thing those games were lacking was this game's sense of horror. This game had horrific things in it. Now, not horror as in scary, but at any time you can actually die, because this was the toughest Resident Evil game out there, especially with its enemy types, bosses, locations, and it was the first Resident Evil game to introduce chapters. But still, in the chapters you can still backtrack. This was the last game that enabled you to backtrack to different locations to acquire items or acquire things before you moved on. The game had great voice work, and obviously with Leon S. Kennedy being the best character. But there are characters in this game that are still unique to the Resident Evil series, and I wished the Spaniard guy, Carlos, or Luis, I think that was his name. No, Carlos. In this game. Oh, fuck. I can't remember. If it's Carlos or Luis, you know, you tell me who it is. The cool guy in this game. Unfortunately, everyone knows he dies, but I wish he would have been a character that probably would have got his own spin-off game, and he should have. But the enemy types and the boss types are insane. And the fact that you have to fight the infection known as the Las Plagas against a guy named Sadler, which Sadler is the head of this religion and head of this cult that imbues the infection into people, and once it spreads, it's almost like a mind control bug, kind of like how the villains are in Resident Evil 5, but the ones in Resident Evil 5 I feel are not as lethal, because the ones in Resident Evil 5 are more umbrella based. These are more, this game is more supernatural and religious based. Still dealing with the infection. Yes, it's experimental wise, you'll realize that, but at first you don't think so. And this was the game that introduced everyone to their favorite female, known as Ada Wong, which Ada Wong didn't return until Resident Evil 6. Now, how has the game, does the game still hold up from when it was first released? And I'm here to tell you the remaster of this game does its game justice. It does its game beautiful. Yeah, there's not really much of a graphical difference. It still looks almost the same, but it looks cleaner, it looks smoother. The textures are a little bit better, and a lot more things can move a lot quicker, because I remember things were a lot choppier in the old game, but you know what, that's what held it in the old version, actually the first version. But you know what, it was still great. The cutscenes are still great. The cutscenes are still the best cutscenes ever in a Resident Evil game. The only cutscenes that I still remember being the best was, it's between Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil 1. And not 1 as the original, 1 as in the remake, that fits more in the timeline of these games, which is all fine and dandy. And you have enemies such as Salazar, you have different types of infectious creatures besides dealing with mutated, mind-controlled human beings that have been possessed by the Las Plagas. This is the one game that you have to rely. This game has more in tune with the Evil Within. That's when they were saying when they made the Evil Within, they based it more with the themes and settings and survival aspects of this game. Because Resident Evil 5 and 6, also you have a partner flagging you at all times. it's going to be pretty easy. It's not a challenge. This game, you are purely alone, and you have to manage Ashley, who can either be captured or killed. So managing her also adds a new level of challenge, even though some areas can be total BS of what things can happen, especially toward the end of the game when you go through those difficulty spikes. But once you beat the game once, you also unlock Mercenaries mode, the Ada Wong story, another set of missions with Leon, and when you beat the game, you get his classic costume, unlimited ammo. You could just go back through to add more replayability to the game. And there's one thing this game also has which makes it different, is that this was the first Resident Evil to enable QuickTime events. And these QuickTime events were very thematic, especially during the fight with Krauser, during the fight with Salazar, during the fight with Krauser. Oh, no, not Krauser. I already said Krauser. I mean, Hadler, whatever the hell. Damn it, I already forgot his name. Oh, Sadler. There you go. During the fight with Sadler. Jesus Christ. See, thinking about this is difficult. But the only one I can't remember is the big dude in the trench coat with the eyeball. He also had a QuickTime event. You know, things in this game also takes you to different varied locations. And you'll find many hidden secrets and many hidden files, many hidden informations, things you probably didn't think you knew about the Resident Evil universe. This was the peak of Resident Evil's popularity, and I feel that if this game has it's been remastered because they're doing this because Resident Evil 7 is coming out. But if you haven't picked it up, the game is $20. You may as well pick this one up, pick up number 5, pick up number 6. And if I was to review them, the remasters, this is my favorite remaster because it takes me back to a time when gaming was challenging. Gaming nowadays can be very too easy for me. But anyway, this is your Rogue Jedi Gaming here, and Resident